If you want to mess with Amon-Ra, things are going to get a little heated, and that's what happened. You had Amon-Ra in there, and you had JMO in there holding their own until the troops came and rallied behind them. And then you had Penei Sewell come in there and settle things. He took on 5 people, people jumping on his back, yanking on his helmet. Am I here for the fighting? Yes, I like seeing this happen, but 10's a little excessive, and I'm glad no one got hurt. But it just brings me back to when I was a kid, and I would watch Training Camp Live, and I would see all these teams that were good at the time, because I would think the Lions would get some coverage. They weren't good. They weren't getting international media coverage at the time. So I was wasting my time, but I would see all these teams getting joint practices. They would get in fights, and I'd be like, man, I really want to watch the Detroit Lions do that against another team someday. Well, today I got my wish, and like I said, I'm glad no one got hurt. 10's a little excessive, but that means practice was intense. That means it was chippy. That means they were getting after it, and that means they were competing, man. The Giants have a good team. They're a good organization, man. Daniel Jones is going to be good. They got Kayvon Thibodeau. They got Brian Burns. They're going to be a good Dexter Lawrence. They got a good, solid team over there, and we're going to get some good work this week. I'm sure we got some good work today, and it sounds like we did. The offense, it sounds like it did its thing, and it's all these things what we're hearing about Jameson Williams turning up in camp, doing great things. He turned up today, and he did great things against the New York Giants. It sounds like he was unstoppable, and when the Detroit Lions went into the red zone, the first play in the red zone, Jared Goff hit Jameson Williams in the back of the end zone. That's what I'm talking about, and that's what I'm here for. Other than that, Jared Goff had a solid day. He got picked off once in the 7-on-7 drill, but they're saying David Montgomery and the run game looked really solid. That's what I'm here for. I didn't hear much about Jahmyr Gibbs, but it sounded like the offense really did its thing. But the scary part that I'm hearing right now that I'm not really pumped about or thrilled about is that the Detroit Lions defensive backs were consistently getting beat. That means Carlton Davis was getting consistently beat. That means Amik Robertson was getting consistently beat. All these new additions that the Detroit Lions signed today or drafted over the offseason were getting torched by the New York Giants wide receivers and Daniel Jones. Is Daniel Jones someone I'm concerned about torching us? Not really, but come on. We can't have that. Let's see how the Detroit Lions defensive backs respond. We have 2 injuries to talk about. Kevin Zeitler left practice with a shoulder injury. Left guard, this is a scary sight. We got to make sure this isn't long-term. Hopefully he's ready to go for the start of the regular season. Hopefully this was just a stinger. And Terrion Arnold, you'll see the video on social media if you haven't already. Andrew Thomas was pulling for a run play. He set the edge, though. He turned the run play back in, and that's what I'm talking about. He took on the big block from Andrew Thomas, and he took a concussion. He's in concussion protocol. Probably going to miss this first week, and he's going to miss this first preseason game. That's not something you really want to see from your first-round pick. You want him to be in this first round or this first preseason game, and you want to see him get some valuable reps. Hendon Hooker looks like he's struggling with the third team. I don't know if Hendon Hooker's going to make the team, and this is where fans are going to rag on Brad Holmes. Why waste a third-round pick? Why waste a third-round pick on a quarterback? Maybe he makes the team. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's on the practice squad. I don't know. But Nate Sudfeld seemed like he's starting to pull away from Hendon Hooker in practice, but there's a lot of preseason to go. They're still battling it out, and maybe Hendon Hooker has a really good game against the New York Giants in the preseason, and maybe Sudfeld struggles. We'll see what goes on. There's a good battle going on for that backup quarterback. We just got to know that if Jared Goff does go down, we can trust you and you can win us some football games. That's all I'm asking, and pray to God that nothing happens to Jared Goff. But other than that, talk about Dable getting Levi and Onwuzurike's face because he got a little close to Daniel Jones, and then Daniel Jones getting in a fight afterward. Control your quarterback. Don't get after my team. Don't get after my player. Stay over there. But Brian Dable and Dan Campbell go back and forth. They know each other, so I'm sure they're chirping each other's ear. Control your team. Control your team. They love each other. It's brotherhood. It's funny. I mean, it's not really funny, but it's chippy. It's funny to really think about. Like it's like a brotherhood. It's like your little brother. You're going after it with. They're competing hard. That's what football is all about. In this competitive atmosphere, you're gonna hear some people saying fights are excessive. So they should suspend Amon-Ra St. Brown. Control your emotions. They don't understand football. Football is a very intense competitive atmosphere. It's your will versus that man's will, and that's what Dan Campbell preaches: grit. You're not gonna, these players that the Detroit Lions drafted, that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell got around here, they got grit. They're not going to go down without a fight. If they get beat one play, you best believe they're coming back after it. And if you're going to see another video that's swirling around social media that the guy that Amon-Ra started that fight with, they went after it in another rep later in practice, and then It was a tough rep. They're both battling and they hug it out and they hash it out afterwards. They're competing and they're going after it. And that's the benefit of these joint practices early in the season. It breaks up camp. You're not going against your teammate. You're not going after your brother every single day. You're just going after a new teammate and you're getting these valuable reps against another team, and they're pressure reps for these depth players that are trying to make this roster. It's making this team better. I'm glad this happened. I'm glad they're having joint practices. And if you made it to the end of the video, I really appreciate you. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you thought about practice today and the joint practices. Are you pumped about it? Are you not pumped about it? Are you worried about these fights? Are you glad that happened? Let me know. One Pride sending out, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.